let's make freshly milled flour bagels. All right, I just created this recipe and I'm gonna share it with you, and you're gonna go on this first time journey of making these bagels. So I make sourdough bagels on the regular, so this is a whole new ball game though, okay? This is freshly milled flour, okay? So I have 3 different types of flour already milled in here. Also, why don't all recipes for freshly milled flour things come with like, how many scoops of wheat berries do we need? I always see recipes are like 100 grams of white wheat flour. Well, how many wheat berries is that, right? So I'm gonna try to give you this recipe with wheat berries plus grams. So I have 3 different kinds of flours: hard white wheat, soft white wheat, and khorasan. Khorasan's like my favorite of all of the grains to mill. Love it so much. So we're gonna do 150 grams of hard white wheat berry flour. That equals about 3/4 of a cup, depending on how level your cups are, on berries, okay? We're gonna do the same thing for the soft white wheat berries. We're gonna do 150 grams of soft white wheat berries. Now I keep my scale underneath my bowl when I'm milling so that it can just show me like when I'm gonna get to that point, but it also averaged out to be about 3/4 of a cup of wheat berries, soft white wheat berries. And then we're gonna put in 100 grams of khorasan berries, well, flour. And that equaled to be about 1/2 a cup of khorasan berries. All right, so when you measure, you can kind of get these right. Now, we have all the flours in here together. This is in my KitchenAid mixing bowl. We're gonna weigh the rest of our ingredients. So let's zero out our scale, which we already have. We're gonna do 250 grams of warmed water, okay? Not hot, warm. 250 grams. Okay. Then we are going to do 75 grams of honey or maple syrup. I'm using maple syrup today, okay? 75 grams. Then we are going to do 1 teaspoon of sea salt. Okay, sea salt is one of my favorite things to use. I like a fine sea salt, so 1 teaspoon. And then we're gonna do 2 teaspoons of active dry yeast. This is the kind that I'm using. Some people always ask me the question, what kind of yeast are you using? So I'm gonna show you exactly what it is. So 2 teaspoons of that. Now, after we have all those ingredients together, bagels are really simple. We're gonna mix everything in our KitchenAid mixer with our dough attachment hook, okay? On your preference of speed, because the last time I told people my speed on my KitchenAid mixer, the internet ripped me apart. So I'm not going to suggest that. We're just going to mix it with the dough hook until we have a nice ball of dough formed and there's nothing on the edges of the bowl and it's kind of a little bit less sticky. We're going to start to make the gluten strands come together with our dough hook. In your KitchenAid, you can use any sort of mixer you want, but this is what I'm using today. All right, your dough is all done mixing when it looks like this, when there's nothing on the sides and we just have one whole dough ball. We're going to now cover this on the counter with a cloth or some saran wrap, whatever you have laying around. We're going to let it sit for 1 hour until it has doubled in size, and then we will portion out our bagels, start to boil and bake. Our bagel dough has doubled in size. Let's check it out. This is what your bagel dough looks like after it rises for an hour, okay? I have got a pot of water here that I'm going to turn on to high, and we are going to start boiling some water while we roll out our bagels, not donuts, I was gonna say donuts, okay. We're gonna put 2 tablespoons of honey in this water. You can use maple syrup. For some reason, I just like to use honey in the water, maple syrup in the actual dough, so just my thing. I also have a bunch of individually cut up pieces of parchment paper. This is going to be a lifesaver for you when you go to boil your bagels, okay? So let's get our bagel dough out. We are going to measure it because I would like to make sure that my bagels all weigh the same. Okay, I like my little silicone spatula. It's nice and bendy. It's really good for sourdough, and so I use it for this too. So let's scoop out our bagel dough, pop it on our scale. Let's see how much she weighs. All right, 767. And then we are gonna do, let's see, 67. I need to do some math, I'll be right back. We're gonna do 125 grams per bagel because this is going to yield us 6 bagels, half a dozen. So we're gonna cut our bagel to 125. Then once we get our bagels, we're gonna portion them all out to be 125 grams each. We're just gonna roll them into balls like this, okay? I like to do a little sourdough motion with them, so pulling towards me to like get them nice and taut. And as I'm doing this, the water is heating up with the honey inside of it, okay? Now, got our little bagel dough here. We're gonna poke a hole, go like this, poke a hole in it, pull it apart. You're gonna start to make little bagels like this, okay? We're gonna take our parchment paper, put it down on the mat, and put our bagels down like that, okay? We're going to make 6 of those. We're gonna cover them and let them rest until this water is fully boiled, okay? So go ahead and make 6, cover them, let them rest. They're gonna puff up a bit, so maybe not double, but like they're gonna puff up a bit. And then once they do, and that water is boiling, we're going to boil them. Our bagel water is boiling, as you can tell, and our bagels have been sitting for the same amount of time. I made them, rolled them, put the little holes to the bagel, let them sit while this water boiled. So now that this water is boiling, we have preheated our oven to 375 degrees, okay? I've got a baking sheet, a parchment lined baking sheet here because we don't want the bagels to stick, okay? I have 2 trays of this. I'm gonna do 3 bagels on each tray just so they have enough room to grow and rise while they're baking, okay? I also have a piece of parchment paper here on my cutting board, and I also have 1 egg mixed all together because we're gonna egg wash these bagels. You do not have to egg wash your bagels. If you have an egg intolerance, totally skip this step. Just boil, put it on the baking tray, and bake, okay? This just gives it that like shiny glaze to the bagels. We don't have egg intolerances in my house, so we're using egg today. All right, so now that we have our bagels have rested, they rose a little bit. They're just a little bit puffier than they were before, and they're all on individual little parchment pieces of paper, okay? That's gonna save you. We're going to drop 3 in at a time, okay? Right on the parchment paper. So just drop them in. 3 at a time in this pot is like the perfect amount of space. You don't wanna overcrowd it. And we are going to watch the timer, watch the clock, and we're going to boil these for 1 minute, okay? After we boil these for 1 minute, well, I like to do 30 seconds on each side, to be honest with you. So 30 seconds here, and then I'll flip them over to the other side so they get boiled on both sides. Now you can add toppings to these. So if you're not gonna egg wash, you're gonna go straight from the water to the parchment, peel off this parchment paper. It might separate while it's boiling, and then just discard that, and then put your toppings on. Or if you do wanna egg wash, you can take them out of here after they're 1 minute, egg wash, and then put your toppings on. Today I'm just doing plain, so we're just gonna do plain bagels. I like to add some cream cheese and then do my toppings inside the bagel so all my toppings don't fall off. That's just a personal preference. If you like that, you're welcome. So we're gonna boil all of our bagels, all 6 of them. We're gonna egg wash them, and then we're gonna put them in the oven, 375 degrees for 18 minutes. Make sure you check them at 15 because everybody's oven is different. We just want them to rise and become golden brown. So about 15 to 18 minutes. The bagels are done and they look absolutely delicious. Let's cut into one. Okay, also I'm gonna change the timing on baking them. 30 minutes, not 18. I told you, you're along for this ride. This was a first time journey, okay? So 30 minutes, 375. Check them at 20 to 25 minutes. Make sure they're not burnt in your oven, but golden brown, cooked inside and out is what you want, okay? So let's get a good one. Let's try a good one. You know, sometimes they're not perfect. They're not perfect. Sometimes they crack. Sometimes they look like this, but they're still delicious, okay? Let's pick one that I want to cut. All right, let's cut this guy, all right? I got my huge, giant serrated knife, and let's cut into her and see what she looks like on the inside. I like it. I like how it cuts. Could probably use a bagel slicer for it. Okay, ready? I let them cool, by the way, too. Don't cut them where they're hot. Boom. Now that is a freshly milled flour bagel. Now, let's see. We could put some cream cheese on this. We could put some everything seasoning. We could toast it. You can eat it just like this, or you could toast it. We could put some dried onion on there. We could do some lox and cream cheese. We could do avocado with everything seasoning. Possibilities are endless. So get yourself some freshly milled flour bagels. Freshly milled flour.